Did you guys catch last night that Sentinels left Rivals? The players or the sponsor? Sentinels, the organization, left. Today we are announcing that we'll be pausing our operations in Marvel Rivals. We couldn't be prouder of what we accomplished in the last year together. We built something special, leaving our mark on the early history of the game. If and when NetEase rolls out a program with team incentives, we would revisit the decision. All of our players are now free to explore new opportunities, and we wish each of them nothing but success and whatever comes next. So normally in esports, teams find out about what the next season is going to look like way in fucking advance of everyone else, which means that if you didn't catch the live broadcast the other day of the finals, they said that in the next week or two we'll hear about like the future of Rivals esports stuff. And I saw a lot of people that were like in the scene basically saying like, oh, next year's gonna be exciting, so there will be a next season, it seems. But that sentence at the end of if NetEase rolls out a program with team incentives, we would revisit the decision, means that probably NetEase has probably pulled back a lot of their big money that they were dropping into it at the beginning of Rivals coming out. I know this. I didn't sign any NDAs or anything like that. No one can come for my cheeks. I know that teams were getting paid big money to be a part of the game. Like if they wanted to get into the scene, like Rivals would basically give them a little bit of like a little bump. So much so that there were orgs that actually wanted to potentially make streamer teams, because streamer teams are very valuable, not just to like win things, but just like marketing and just like, if you ever watched a lot of like the pro esports orgs, like no offense to most players, but like if they have the on-screen personality of a wet paper towel, and unfortunately that's what gets people's attention more than anything. In almost all sports, yeah, if you're really fucking good, people love you, but you have to be like literally the best of the best. You could be average with a great personality and people will love you just as much as they'll probably love the guy who's insane. So I actually got approached a couple, I got soft offers, and then some of my other friends also got soft offers, but the numbers were so low that it was just like really didn't make sense, and just kind of seemed like a lot of the orgs that were potentially thinking about stepping in just wanted to get cash that paycheck on the backs of, you know, personalities that were kind of already established. That said though, Rivals has seemed like a game that is open to supporting its scene in a lot of ways. And I mean, doing a $3 million tournament right out the gate, I think should be proof of that. Although I wouldn't be surprised with Rivals quote unquote fall off, even though it really hasn't like fallen off completely. Like it just went from cultural phenomenon that everyone was playing to not playing. It still averages somewhere between like 80 to 120,000 players a day on Steam alone, which is pretty damn good. And I think this game is probably one of those games that's probably really popular on console because it's a more casual type of game. But a lot of people, you know, once something is super popular, like amazingly popular, a lot of people like to have the personality of, oh, fuck that super popular thing, right? But then as like people stop liking the super popular thing, if it wanes in popularity, they actually end up joining that them type of side. And then Rivals, of course, actually has some issues. Like it does have like some core issues, although they do appear to be working on it. That said, though, I'm a little I don't know if I'd say the word is worried, but a little more interested that this is like arguably the fan favorite team for a lot of players or for a lot of people. They just had a lot of nice personalities. Obviously Aramori being probably like their most well-known, although definitely they had a little bit of a poor performance in the most recent tournament. Actually, you know what's funny? Now that if I think back to it, when I was playing Nightmare 4 with Aramori and SK and Reinho, and she like said she like accidentally let slip that she wasn't like Sentinels wasn't a thing, and I remember we were all like, wait, what? And she was like, oh, no, it's still a thing. Like, she like played it off as like, oh, like she meant just like for now, like we're not scrimming or anything. And we're like, oh, okay. It's hard. She might have accidentally actually let it slip, because she ended up tweeting too. I was like, well, now you all finally know. Sentinels has been my home for this past year, and I will never ever forget the amount of love and support from the community. I've never experienced anything like that in my whole life. The org treated me like family, and because of that, I'll have memories that'll last an entire lifetime. My heart truly breaks with Sen's decision to leave Marvel Rival Esports, but truthfully, I cannot blame them. The scene is essentially a money sink until any sort of monetary incentive is added for teams. Hopefully, NetEase will drop some new info soon. I like Aramori a lot. You know, I knew her a little bit in Overwatch, not that well. I actually bumped into her one time at Patriot Place with her now husband Crimzo with Emong. I do have to disagree with her slightly on this one. The reason why Rivals is going to be is a money sink right now is because two things. One, the esports bubble has fucking popped. And two, quite frankly, in a super casual game, your average casual player hates esports players. Like, they think that they're super sweat. Like, the internet culture has kind of shifted in the last few years, where like being good in like video games used to be kind of cool. It went from being like turbo nerd shit to like everyone got into video games and the people who were really good were really cool. And then after enough time passed, like those people got so good that people got annoyed playing against them. And then also like, you know, just the culture of like, you have to be good or you're shit. It kind of flipped back where it's like, nah, now you're kind of like nerds and annoying. Actually, I think that the hyper casual players' opinion of esports is they'd rather it just didn't exist, and they think that their game, quote unquote, will revolve around it. Now, that said, the reason why that's a problem is so that means the only people that are going to be interested in your esport are the competitive / hyper competitive players, like that are super interested in grinding and learning and getting better. And Rivals isn't that player base currently, and is not really going in that direction. And third off, unfortunately, the marketing for Rivals Esports has not been phenomenal. That said, I can't say they haven't done everything they can so far. They've tried to work with other streamers, like stream a lot of esports stuff, but they also need to just like invest in their own community a little bit more. How do they do that? Well, that's a tough one, because like I was saying before, most of the players who play in esports games have the personality of a wet paper towel, and if they don't have the personality of a wet paper towel, there's actually a really darker side, where like there's a reason why you don't hear comms all the time on broadcast, or you don't hear comms all the time like from matches and stuff like that. It's like people say stupid shit, you know, and people don't want to hear them saying stupid shit. You know, there's already discourse online over Citadel apparently was one of the most shit-talking teams, and like was shit-talking every team in the scene, and then they lost at LAN to FlyQuest, who then Spark Chief did the choke emote on stage back to them, and it has just been like getting tons of backlash by like, you know, the very small Rivals esports scene that exists, but basically like, oh, fuck that guy, because then he went on to lose and cried on stage, so people called them CryQuest. So here's the problem. Why would you want to be a outgoing personality in esports? Every scene needs a villain. Every scene needs a hero. You need people on both sides to kind of like drum up some emotion when people are so harshly aggressive towards a lot of those people. The only thing that I can think of is there has to be a benefit to them, right? Like they have a stream following. They have like, you know, they kind of build a career beyond just being that player, right? That's like the incentive. And how does Rivals make players do that? I don't think they can. And it wasn't in team's best interest to do that either, because some people say like, oh, they need PR training. They need to be better on camera. Well, unfortunately, it's actually in their best interest to keep most of their players like emotionless paper towels, because that means they're not worth as much money. I'll give you an example. If you have an esports player who has no stream, no following, whatever, but is good at the game, and you have another guy who's both the same level of player, but they have a big stream with like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 viewers every day, and a lot of people that are like huge fans of them that show up to every event or follow your streams and follow your matches just to watch that one guy play, who do you think's worth more money? I'll tell you what, you all know the answer, and it's by a fucking country mile who's worth more. So it's actually in their best interest to keep them not worth a lot. Just want to finish off the tweet really quick. I've received a lovely offer from Sentinels to continue to have a home with them, even with their departure from Rival Esports. I have a month or so to decide, and I'll be trying with all other teams as a free agent in that time. Again, I can't thank the Sentinels community enough for all love and support. I am so proud to have been a part of your family. Thanks so much for cheering me. Sen City forever. My hope for Armoria is she keeps being a pro, but she should definitely potentially lean into that opportunity of streaming more often. I don't know if you really should sign to the org though. Like, if in my own personal opinion, I know the money's probably nice, but like if this ever makes it back to her, yo, real talk, they're probably not paying you what you're worth. I have worked under an org before, and they were very good to me. They were very, very great people. They were great people. They did a lot of good for me, but I realized after leaving and having like, you know, my eyes opened up to more of the scene and having representation and all that stuff, like I wasn't getting close to what I was actually worth, and they were making a lot more off me than I was ever bringing in for them. You know, continuing to be a pro, growing your career, and also growing your own personal brand would probably be what I would tell her. That said, though, I'm not sure where esports can even go, you know, like outside of like League of Legends, Valorant, CS right now, and then like more established ones like Dota. Hell, even Fortnite, I think, fell off quite a bit. I mean, they're probably trying to bring it back, but like, God, it's not what it used to be. Like, you used to see Fortnite esports for everywhere. I don't see it anywhere anymore, personally, and it's not like any of my channels have changed. What do? And also, the only money that's ever in esports at the moment are either gambling or Saudi money. So it's like, where's the money going to come from, right? The only other option is in-game support, which is like NetEase or Rivals basically saying, hey, you know, we'll give you skins in the game, and then if people buy those skins, we'll give you a percentage of that, go straight to you. And obviously that cuts into their own profits. So it's like, you know, if Rivals is already scared at potentially they've already like lost a big chunk of its player base this year quite quickly, they might not be as willing to give a piece of the pie out to these other teams that only really came in because they got a big monetary value in the beginning. Esports is so bad getting money, they all crash. Well, okay, your demographic, like, okay, let's talk from a business perspective for a second. If you are a professional, right? When you make a business or you make a product, right? What do you have to think about? The customer. Who is your customer? Who is your potential customer? Also, I'm loading back into Rivals right now. That's why I'm in full screen. Your potential customer is who you're marketing your product to. The potential customer in Rivals Esports is hyper casuals, because that's your player base, right? Most of them, or sorry, not all of them are hyper casuals, but basically like the general Rivals player base, which is mostly casual. You also have, of that player base, people that are probably want to be really good at the game / want to pursue potentially being an esports professional in their future. So a lot of those are teenagers or really young college-age adults who have a lot of time on their hand to play the game. I'll answer you the question. They're broke. They're quite frankly broke. They have time, not money. And so teenagers don't have all this money to spend. Young college-aged adults don't have all this money to spend. And so, like, where do you go, right? We had this problem when I worked in Overwatch League with ticket prices for events, and that we couldn't charge enough to make it worth. Like, it wasn't even possible. We'd be so far behind money-wise, as like every event was like a huge net loss, right? So where does esports even make money? They can only make money really on branding rights on the main broadcast. Granted, I think Twitch is trying a new system where you can like co-stream along, and they could sponsor a co-streamer and then do ads through that co-streamer maybe, potentially, and that would be a way to do ads on the broadcast, like on its own side, I guess. But even that isn't great. Some games have tried putting actual ads in the game, like for example, there was one in Overwatch where they put a big Butterfingers ad in the game on a wall. They basically just rendered it in like on the broadcast, like a graphic that like, yep, this wall has Butterfingers ad on it, right? I don't know how difficult that is to do. It's probably kind of difficult to do, but like, how do you monetize it? You know, that's a hard to ask. And then it's like, well, even through advertisements, like, why should an advertiser work with you, right? Who's your demographic? Oh yeah, it's all kids again, / teenagers / young adults who have no money. It is what it is. Why is esport not run financially like football / soccer? What do you mean? Well, like football and soccer can make big money off of TV rights, brand deals, ticket sales. Although ticket sales, and a lot of times, are like isn't that crazy, but like sometimes they are, depending on like if they own the stadium or not, and how long they've had the stadium, and how much money they owe on the stadium. Food, right? Like vending, merch, all of these things nobody buys. Like who the fuck is buying FlyQuest jerseys, right? And sunglasses and hats. You could sell Patriots jerseys. They're still selling Tom Brady jerseys to this day. For you fucking retired 5 years ago, right? Like they can't sell money through merch really that much. They can't do brand deals because they don't own the rights to like the broadcast. The broadcast itself isn't paying them to be a part of it. Like it's not like they're getting a TV deal from Twitch or YouTube, right? It's not like, you know, YouTube TV pays the NFL $300 million to stream Monday Night Football on YouTube TV, right? Then they can all get a cut of that. None of those. There's no revenue flows, if that makes sense. So I'm not really sure where you go from there, because like there's not really anywhere to make money other than, again, Saudi Arabia and gambling, which is, of course, a lot of people's not favorite things to see in the esports scene. And so there's just not a whole lot of places to go. It is what it is. I had really a lot of fun watching the rival esports, and I hope the best for them, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. There's not much to really do.